this lesson, we're going to learn how to draw ears for comic books, and we want them to be beautiful. And typically, ears aren't beautiful, so we usually simplify them a lot. And just like we simplify everything in comic books, but ears are usually simplified quite a bit. So here's an ear that's not simplified. The reason why I drew this ear here really fast for you is so you can understand a little bit about the anatomy of the ear. You have this thicker part here, right? So all this part right here that's thicker. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll do this on separate layers so you can see the parts I'm talking about here. And we'll do it in a bright color. So this part right here is a thick membrane part of the ear, a lot of cartilage there, and it has this thickness to it you can see from front view, which we'll go over. You also have other parts of the ear that aren't as thick. Really important is this part right here, this line right here. This is where your actual eardrum is. That's where the hole is if you wanted to stick a Q-tip down your ear. The lobe itself has some thickness to it, but it's typically more of a flat plane like this here. The main important parts to keep in mind is the overall shape of the ear, and then this shape right here, and this inner shape right here. That's the most important thing. Now the other thing that we simplify is you have this, usually this kind of like Y shape in here of skin, and it has this form kind of like this here, right? So it has shape to it like that, and that's the part we're simplifying, usually to just one single line. Sometimes, people will go a little bit more detail with their ear, but it's really unnecessary because ears are kind of a thing that are just there, and you don't really need to add much detail to them. And you can just look at comic books and see how simplified the ear becomes. Sometimes you'll see like this line right here, this whole entire thing added as just a shaded shape like that. Especially in manga, you see that quite often. Alright, so let's go ahead and draw the ear. So we're going to kind of draw the ear from the side view first before we do it from the front view, just to get an idea of what it looks like. So what I like to do is start off with a basic shape like this, and basic shapes are always good to start off with. So you have this kind of flat line here, kind of come out like this, and I like, sometimes working with angles is a little bit easier to kind of see the overall basic shape of the ear that you're trying to go for. So if you start off with something like this, you can see now all I have to do is to start rounding this out, and then I can come in here, and then if I want the earlobe all depends. Typically for beautiful females, you keep your earlobe kind of smaller, and then all you have to do is draw this kind of inner part here. If you want to kind of represent that part there, you can. You can also represent this whole shape right here just as a shaded shape, and then just add this inner line here. That gives that illusion of that thickness of the cartilage there, and then you can just have a line coming off here. Now if you wanted to represent more of that Y shape, you could by just kind of having a basic Y shape in here like that, but honestly it's unnecessary. I like to just represent this inner line if anything, and then that's that. And then if you do want to represent the outer line, you can just kind of go like that, maybe just represent the outer line just a little bit like that. But the more detail you add to ear, the less pretty they seem to be, and because ears aren't something that are particularly flattering to look at. So although some people might have an ear fetish or something like that. So anyway, that right there is the basic ear. It's pretty simple to master. It doesn't take a long time to master the basic shape of the ear. Now from the front view, the ear kind of changes. We see a lot of this cartilage in the front, and the ear gets foreshortened. If you don't know much about foreshortening yet, I highly recommend my course, How to Draw and Paint Comics, in which in the beginning of the course I go through all the fundamentals of form and all that kind of good stuff. And form is super important. Right, so this is the basic head we have here, and so the eyebrows are going to fit right around here. And so how the ear works, and the nose is going to be, you have the eyes in here. We'll just kind of put basic shapes right now, and the nose, I made the circle a little bit wrong, but the nose would actually fit more right on here. So the ear basically connects from here to here. That's the size of the ear. That goes from about the top of the eyebrow to about the bottom of the nose. Now sometimes when you're drawing females and you're trying to get that really pretty look, you might minimize that shape to be smaller, and oftentimes ears are smaller on a lot of women, and it only go up to like maybe right here for the whole entire ear size. And so that's the size that I'm going to go for. I think it looks cuter, especially on comic books, and we're not trying to represent life exactly anyway. Now this is the basic shape you're going to see because the cheek kind of covers it, and the ears kind of being foreshortened because it's going back in space. I typically only like to represent that line right there to represent that thickness coming out, because that thickness you can definitely see if you look at photos, front views of photos, and some of the best photos to find is typing in famous people and type things like Natalie Portman front view, or Jessica Alba front view. Sometimes their hair is going to be covering their ears, and so you might want to type like Natalie Portman bald, Britney Spears bald, people that we know that shaved their head at one point in time. Sometimes I'll represent this little shape right here just so you can kind of see it a little bit, and I might draw that line right there, and that's it. That's all you need for an ear from the front view. It's a very simplified thing, really easy to draw. It's not complicated, and we'll get a little bit more in drawing ears when we're drawing the face from the different views, like the side view and the 3/4 view. But that's pretty much all you need to know about drawing ears from the front view. Just keep in mind this is the basic anatomy of the ear, and this is the simplified version of the ear from the side view, and then what we can see when it's foreshortened is this right here. And sometimes you can even make it less than that, and sometimes people will have weird shapes. I noticed some artists like to do shapes like this for the ears, and they kind of have a shape like that, something like that right there. And I like this more rounded look. I think it looks more cute and sexy. Now if you wanted to draw something like an elf ear, it's really easy. The anatomy is kind of the same. So let's say you kind of wanted to point it up a little bit like this, and you want it to be really long. You still have that main cartilage area right here that's coming out and all the way in, and it's going to come like this. And the point of the ear, I like to kind of imagine the basic shape of the ear first. There's a little bit of a earlobe there, come with that shape. So the shapes are all the same, they're just elongated. And then I might still have like this shape right here. This would be like the Y shape. Maybe you can still kind of pull that in, kind of have the whole shape here, and in this case I might want to actually go like this and then kind of have that whole shape like that. Maybe it's longer. You can decide the anatomy of how the ear is, but this would be the basic. Now I wouldn't actually have that entire Y shape in there, just showing you that if you wanted to kind of elongate the anatomy, but I might actually have this line right here represented, maybe that line a little bit, and that's it. And now I have this nice elf ear. If I wanted to bring it thinner, that part's easy to do as well. You can actually have it to where this part here only comes to like that, and then the skin kind of comes off it like this. So that's another style of ear to do. Or you can just bring it more pointy, but still have that skin fold here and then come down, so you have a little bit of thickness like that. Right, so there you have it, pretty easy to draw. And so stay tuned now for the exercises of drawing ears. Actually, before we end this, let's just do one more quick view of the ear that I think might be important to know. So let's just kind of have a basic back view of the head here. This is the back view of the head, and then you have the neck coming down here. Alright, so let's say that's the basic shape of the head, and the neck's coming down. Now, when you have the ears in the back of the head, so first let's just kind of draw basic shapes where the ear's going to be. From the back of the ear, it kind of looks like this. What you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of the cartilage. So I like to just kind of draw the basic shape of the ear. Again, I like to keep things cute. The whole point of this is, how to draw cute or pretty comic characters. In this case, we're dealing with female comic characters. This is the basic shape right here, and you might be able to see a little bit of this. So the basic shape, if you want to think about it, it kind of comes out like this here of the ear, and it kind of has a shape like this. That's the most basic shape of the back of the ear. Now, if you might not want to get as realistic as that, so what you might end up doing is, let's say, do something like this right here. So let's say this is the side of the head. We're using a bald head because, it's easier to see the ear that way. Sometimes you'll have this kind of like, imagine a horn coming off like this right here, and then you can either come out with it this way. So this is the basic shape like that, and then you have that cartilage part coming off like this. That's like the basic shape that you're dealing with right there. I like to make it look more like this here, more like kind of like a real ear. But another way you can do this and pull this off that I've seen a lot done is they'll make it opposite way. They'll kind of take it and they'll pull the part of the ear like this, and this is so they'll go something more like that, and that'd be the shape that they kind of stick with, and they might not draw the lines fully on the inside like that. Very, very basic, or you might flatten it out more so it's more flat and not so sticking out like this. So what I mean by that is simply pull this a little more like that, and then kind of just have the ear like so. And that's all you're going to see from the back end. And most of this will be covered with hair anyway, if not all covered with hair. But for those times you need to draw a bald character, or the hairs being pulled up, and my thing switched layers. I forgot to put my glove on. You have the hair being pulled up like this into a bun, let's say up here, and you have chopsticks sticking out, whatever, then you might be able to see the ears, and so it's important to know how to draw ears on the backside. All right, so that's it. Now, let's watch the exercises that I want you to do. All right, thank you for watching.